So welcome, and how is the weather today in Venice?
It's good, not so hot, and it's perfect. Windy and very good.
Very nice.
Yeah, we're
So
enjoying the beginning of summer in a very nice way. Yeah, it's not very hot, not very humid, very fine.
that's very nice. That's very nice. It's been some nice weather in Europe this week. It's some rain, but definitely not as hot as it was last summer.
Yeah,
Of
it's
course.
a very important week for Venice because it's a fashion week. We have Yves Saint Laurent and Valentino with a
Mm.
fashion show, and then
Hmm.
for a feast, the fireworks all over the lagoon. So it's a wonderful party for the city of Venice.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's one of the most interesting and awaited show in the year. It's probably the most close to the heart of the Venetian. And of course, everybody are coming to see this fireworks show because it lasts more than 40 minutes and is over the lagoon. So you can imagine the effects on the water.
Oh, I can imagine it's so beautiful.
It
And
is.
is this tied to any specific event, or any historical significance? Is this?
Yeah, we celebrate the end of the Black Fever in
Hmm.
the whole past of Venice. So
Hmm.
after the peace, the Black Fever, and we make a vow to the god. And we say that every year we will do a procession in the Church of Redentore and then a big party all over the city.
Hmm. Interesting. Even more impactful this year, I would imagine.
Yes, correct.
It's very linked to the actual time.
Very interesting. And this is also your 16-year anniversary, correct?
60th century, so yes.
I'm sorry, 1600.
No.
Correct, correct.
Yes.
421 and 2021, 1600 years of history in Venice.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a very important year for the city because around this celebration, we built a series of specific events, but also all the major events of the city are taking a very specific spin around the 1600 years, taking with us all these key stakeholders of the cities, so the museum, all the artisans, the commerce, all the stakeholders of the city are celebrating this year, and it's a celebration that lasts an entire year because it will end up on the 25th of March 2022.
Very interesting. And I can imagine it's just a year for celebrating after, such an iconic anniversary, and then with the city reopening and being more open to travel, being more open to, oh, we lost you there for a sec. Um, Being more open to welcoming visitors and guests. I know it's with people being home over the last year and a half and not traveling as much, and now with people going on vacation and getting out, it's definitely an interesting time to regain.
Yeah,
Um,
we are recovering. It's a very slow process because it's a gradual process. The first the
mhm.
Italians, then the Europeans, and then Americans, Japanese, and international, intercontinental friends. But we are trying to restart the city after the pandemic and after also the high tide, the flows that happened in 2019. So we have two very big punch in our face, but I
Mhm.
think that we are still on our feet, and we are doing a very important job to keep the city alive and to keep the business running, and to also to change the model to a more sustainable tourism and more friendly to the city. So it's also a challenge to start better than before and not
Mhm.
as the same as before.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the interesting thing is that Venice has this phenomenon that when we had the opportunity to reopen and restart, it was a step up in the sense that people, of course, a different kind of tourism, as Simone said, the Italians first, and then all the surrounding areas with Switzerland, Germany, France, Croatia, etc. but they come immediately. And so we had, especially during the weekends, the city really full of people enjoying in a very special way, I would say, Venice, not anymore hyper crowded of people, but in a way that they can really experience the city more calm. And hopefully what we hope from the administration point of view, in a more slow way, really taking advantage of all the beauties of the city and not necessarily the most, let's say, relevant monuments like San Marco Square, like Rialto, that are very important, but taking advantage of getting lost, as I will say, into the city and really experience the real emotions of our city.
Excellent. I love that, experiencing emotions. I've definitely been lost in some of those alleys and seen some of the beauty of the architecture and whatnot. And I'm curious, what is going on with the fashion project this week? What does that look like? Like, who is coming to the city for that, and how is that being activated?
Yeah, we just had two important appointments in May and June, in the beginning of restart when all the country opened, and two important events: the Biennale of Architecture. It's a very important moment for the city, and the boat show. So in May and June, we had very two crowded but very beautiful people coming in Venice and want to enjoy these two important events. And then we are working to link more Venice to fashion brands and to the beauty. And we just hosted yesterday a very important show of Yves Saint Laurent at Certosa Island. You know, very important also artistic installation in the middle of the island. And this night we will have also a Valentino show. So the haute couture, normally they host in Paris this kind of show. Now we're bringing to Venice. And in August, Dolce & Gabbana, 3 entire days in all the city around with artisan and artists, and they show of their creation. So it's a very strong bond that we are working right now with the fashion group and fashion brands, also because Venice is very inspiring in this moment. So a lot of creative, a lot of stylists, now they are able to find important inspiration in Venice in this moment. And a lot of creation are inspired in Venice also for fashion brands.
Mm-hmm.
I will add that after Dolce & Gabbana, we will have, of course, the movie festival in Lido. And during that week, particularly on the 6th, we're going to have Golden Goose also with a specific show into the San Marco Basin.
And Alberto Ferretti too.
So we're really attracting the fashion show at this point.
Mm-hmm. So people are coming back in this ways. I remember last year looking at some of the fashion shows, and they were more, just the models or just the clothes with no audiences, and or maybe very, very small audiences. So what is it looking like this year? Are people allowed to come back? What are the regulations looking like? Do they have to wear masks? Are they spacing, or is it more open now with vaccines being more widely distributed?
Yeah, there is more people. Of course, it's not a very huge crowd for the issues that you very well know, but is more participant than the last year. So you will have also a streaming live session, but in presence there will be a lot of people, journalists, artists, stylists, models, and authorities, and a lot of people. So it's a very important also for the economy of the city, because a lot of people is coming in Venice for participate to this show. So it's not only a streaming live show, it's a physical show with a lot of guests.
Interesting. And so with this series of events, it feels like this spirit of people coming back to Venice, and what does this mean for the business community? Obviously, these are fashion houses and brands coming back to the city to do these events. How are brands engaging with the city again?
Yeah, we are trying to find a way to work together, not only for a week or a day or 2 weeks, but to become friends during the long period. So we are working to find a new collaboration, new cooperation between the city and the brands, not only to host the Fashion Week, but also to stay here, produce with a local artisan, and communicate with the local voice. And this is a thing that we will see in the Dolce & Gabbana events, because they are here since, I think, May, and they are working a lot with the local artisan to do their creation. So it's a new way also for the city, not only to be a box where something happened, but to be the protagonist, the first actor of this kind of new collaboration, new cooperation. Also to bring new jobs in town, to bring new ideas, new business model, and to talk about sustainability, because Venice was named 1 day ago, I think, in Sunday, the capital of sustainability in Italy. And we have now built a foundation to work on around of this topic. And a lot of important companies like Eni, Generali, is very important Italian group on all the business, energy, bank, insurance, and more are working with the city to try new way to develop a business, local business, sustainable, green, of course, modern, and innovate the process. So it's a very important moment for the city. I was talking about a new spring in Venice. So it's a new spring where a lot of people is coming and say, I have an idea. And we say, yes, we can work with you to find a new way to restart Venice. Because save Venice is not only a physical matter of stones and monuments and statues and other building, but is also important issues of preserving the life, the jobs, the sociality, the tradition, the soul of the city. The city is not only stones, but is also souls. So we are trying to keep the soul running and attract more ideas, more brands, more creative, more people, more young people to stay in Venice and live Venice.
I love
especially in the world of today, where you can also work from anywhere, and we learned it even more and more during the pandemic. Venice want to attract talents, want to attract ideas, as Simone said, want to attract companies, big companies, but also new startups that have great ideas. And I have to say, this administration has put in place all the infrastructure, all the steps to help those companies to come and establish here and create jobs for the future. Because as we said, Venice, if you study the story of what the Republic Serenissima did over 800 and more years of history, it's really discovering that a lot of methods, a lot of ideas. Just an example, the insurance business has been invented in Venice. When the big vessel were leaving Venice to go and conquer the Mediterranean, to commerce with the spices and jewels, etc., over the east or far east, they decided that, to finance those vessels, they had to insure. And so they create a kind of bank insurance, and the business started from there. But there are so many examples that we can take from the past and project it into the future that can give really spinning ideas and means to really establish business in Venice, establish new ideas and new opportunities in Venice.
It's so fantastic, the history. I mean, that you've established insurance, that's like a huge industry that we all participate in, that it goes back to your history of boats and covering business in that way. And I love, Simone, what you said about the soul of the people and bringing that connection back. Can you talk about how you're connecting this legacy to what comes next and the future? Because obviously Venice has this very, very rich history in markets and in business, and where it comes from and how you're connecting this to what the future looks like?
So I think that we are bringing Venice in the new era. So it's not only a nostalgic way to look at Venice, like we say, hey, once a time we ruled the world, we ruled the sea, we defeated a lot of population, we were the capital of merchants and market. But this is only a historical and nostalgic way. I think that now Venice has all the quality to be a very modern city. Yes, it's like an oxymoron to say Venice is a modern city. Venice is one of the oldest town in the world, and still in the same physical situation as it was in 60 centuries or 50 or in another era, medieval time. But it's a very modern city. It's a city where you can have a very high quality of life, because you have no car, you have to walk. You can walk around all the city in 20 minutes time. So it's a very small city, but it's linked to the world. Every day, in every hour, you will have an event, a cultural manifestation, a concert, a representation, an international guest, presentation of a book. So it's a city really full of initiative, also for cultural and interesting, but is also in the middle of an important industrial area, Veneto region, where there is the most important production on a lot of business and a lot of products. So Veneto region is the second important region for industry and economics in all Italy. And Venice is the capital. So we are in the middle on a very important triangle with the port, the airport. So you can live in a beautiful living room like Venice. I think the most beautiful living room in all the world. But you have in just half an hour of train or car, you are in the heart of the industrial center of Italy. So it's a very well-connected city, and we are trying to bring it also a digital city to attract also digital business under the stones, the 1,000-year stones. And now there is the fiber optic cable. So it's all cable with high-speed internet, and is one of the most covered city for high-speed internet in Europe. So it's a very important investment that the city made to be one of the most advanced city with digital infrastructure. So I think Venice can be a new discover for a lot of people, because the world thinks Venice as a museum is not, is a living city, and can be also a capital for businesses, ideas, and research, university, and a new way to do business with a green approach and sustainability as a goal, the main goal.
And I will add that the more and more on what Simone just said, the university that we have in Venice are very well known and probably top notch if we look at the Italian and also European landscape. What we want to do is we want to give all these young people the opportunity not just to come to Venice to study, but to come to Venice to study and then have the opportunity to stay for years and develop their ideas in a city that offer really what we just said. Tons of culture, tons of inspiration, quality of life, and infrastructure to be able to easily settle down, stay, and work properly from Venice.
I love that connection that you're talking about, building this digital infrastructure, also the infrastructure of university, so that you're bringing the talent and cultivating that long-term relationship with the future leaders and the future innovators. And I think it's very incredible that you have that designation also as the sustainability leader in Venice. What is the driving factor, do you think, behind wanting to be so cutting edge and innovative within the city, and in what ways is it being manifested within the business community there?
But one of the aspects, I mean, and just making the example of what happened just 1 week ago, Venice hosted the G20 of economy. So all the governor of the central banks of the G20 and all the delegation, all the ministers, they were in Venice. And this has been one really key examples of what the city can do to host these global events, to host the global events in a safe way, inspiring contents, and then linking to your question, the sustainability aspect. The city has to be the example. Think about sustainability for mobility. The city is living and I would say breathing on water every single day. Everything moves on water in Venice. The public transportation boats, the private boats, the working boats, the ambulances, the fire department, everything moves on boats. The opportunity of the city is really to raise the attention at the global level and to be the example in showing that it's not a future technology moving to eco-sustainability technology on water, but it's possible today. We cover a little bit later on the ideas that we had with the administration around the boat show and what we accomplished this year, which is something really that left the sign and project ourselves in 2022 with even bigger events concentrating on hydrogen, so hybrid transportation, but especially on electric transportation.
Yes, tell me more about the boat show and what the idea was behind that. I know obviously being a city that's built on water, boat transportation is huge to connecting people.
Yeah, so the idea started, of course, from the mayor of Venice. It started at the end of 2018, and it gave us the task, together with Simone and all the administration, and Vela, which is the sales and marketing power arm of the municipality, to develop a boat show in this side of the Adriatic, which, to be honest, if you look from the Adriatics, from Venice, I would say to Lebanon, there is no major international boat show. But the idea was not to build a boat show to show the current technology, to have a showcase of the current technology, but to build a boat show that really put the accent on the future. On the future, but giving the example today of what is available, showing the way. And then when we did that, we started in 2019 with the first edition. Of course, we started small, but it was very well received. And a lot of international companies, so the most important Italian shipyards, but also international shipyard participated. So we had to stop in 2020, of course, as everybody can imagine, because we couldn't do it because of the pandemic. But then we restarted, and of course, we didn't stop working on that. And so we had a great success because just by the end of May this year till the 6th of June, we accomplished 9 full days of what we call Mostra di Architettura Navale. So we were showing the architectural navy. So basically involving all the major shipyards, but involving also the major technological companies that are involved into the production of electric engines, battery solutions, electronics, onboard piloting electronics, and also recharging stations. So we had ABB, just to name one, as our technical sponsors. But the city has started already, I would say more than 18 months ago, to put together pilot of infrastructure of recharging technology into the lagoon. This to facilitate the adoption of electric boats. And we are now at the second stage. These recharging stations are growing. And so we're following all the adoption curve that we all know of the car industry that happened in the United States, of course, probably earlier than in Europe, but also Europe now, and even Italy, is really permeated with all these recharging stations, and the electric car industry is really taking off very rapidly. The boat industry will take off even more rapidly because we know that the adoption curve every time accelerate, as it did with the fridge and the color TV that took so many years, so then accelerating every year. And so this is the opportunity of Venice, because it's not just the pollution, it's making waves. And waves are destroying the city. So we had one example with us, which was Candela. Candela is a Swedish company. So we show the technology, which is a mix between full electric engine and the foil technology. The foil technology, we saw it in America's Cup. All these catamarans flying over the water and not even touching the water, which means this combination make zero waves, not just zero pollution, zero waves when it flies. And so these are just few examples of what we did. And that was really, in my opinion, but also in the opinion of the exhibitors, a great success. We had more than 50 electric boats. And when I'm talking about boats, I want to be sure that I don't get misunderstood, because we had 22 meters boats. So Green Line Yachts from Croatia is building super yacht, ocean class yachts that have a thermic engine, so the classical engine, but it can run into the port, into the harbor with a full electric system. It recharges as it goes. It has a solar panel everywhere. We had the hydrogen catamarans and all kinds of solutions. This created a massive amount of, let's say, emotion and attention at the worldwide level. So this is one call to action to all our participants here. Venice is really ready to welcome you next year at the boat show, either as visitors, of course, as exhibitors in case, because we want really to put really, to keep the feet on the pedal, let's say, on this evolution. Once again, this gives means, one of the means to Venice as global capital of eco-sustainability. And we used to say also, we are the most ancient city of the future.
I love that. And it's interesting, you know, obviously we're hearing a lot from consumers and people who are in the business community and people who are traveling. They're looking and they want to make choices that are more sustainable, that are more eco-friendly, because obviously people still want to go on vacation, but we understand that, you know, we don't want to have the same footprint as maybe we have in the past. Can you talk about ways that you are making people aware that Venice will offer this sustainable opportunity, and how you're communicating that to, you know, people who would be traveling and even to the business community?
I think that we need to communicate better, even better, because we are just starting to communicate the reopen of the city. And with Alberto and the events of the Bozzo, is the first time that we try to launch a global message to all the world to focus on Venice like the capital and the city where the biggest change are possible, and we are making them. So it's just the first step on this new road of communication. And I think that we need a big help for the companies, from you, from the foreign press, for the social media, because I think that Venice is a global issue. I think that all the world has the duty to save the city, to preserve it, not only the stones, but also the soul. We just said it. And I think that we are all aware that Venice is the most exposed city to sea level rising, to plastic problem on the ocean, to all the main topic that are discussing right now in all the biggest convention on the world. So I think that all companies and countries and intellectual groups can find in Venice like a research field, because if a thing works in Venice, we work everywhere. So I think that the company has also the opportunity to try something in a small area, because we are a small city, 260,000 inhabitants, so very small city compared with New York, Moscow, of London. But it's, I think, the most complex city in the world, of course. So it's a very small field of a research field, where we can try a lot of new technologies, but also a lot of new models. and we can also then export them all over the world. So we have a big opportunity to try to invite all companies that has idea, initiative, and project to talk with us, and we will find a way to cooperate and try to put some roof in the city and try to grow some fruits and then export this fruit all over the world. So I think that Venice now has also this kind of the opportunity to offer to other friends, our companies, and your friends too.
But also some inspiring ideas and things that has been done in the city, like the rubbish, the garbage. Venice is the #1 in Italy for recycling. We basically do and collect all the garbage door to door to every single house in Venice. It appears a massive amount of work. It is, but it's very well structured, and it is, in my opinion, but also in the opinion of many, many leaders, one best-in-class examples at the national level. It may be an example at the international level. The other thing, Simone mentioned Eni. Eni in Porto Marghera was the, they call it black energy production, but also they recycle a lot of their factories to produce from fried oil. They produce biodiesel. Those are key examples. With Eni, we have the first hydrogen distribution station in Venice, in Marghera. So those are things that, as Simone said, we need to start to communicate better. Of course, we need all your help. We need the press help. But Venice can get inspiration, but also give a lot of inspiration, because I don't want to make too much advertising, but this administration is a fact-based administration. So we decide to do things, we do things, we make them happen.
And of course, Venice is not only the historical city that of the world knows, of course, but it's also a mainland city with a big industrial area, Porto Marghera, with a big port of Venice. And I think that also big companies that works on a big factories and industrial sites and compounds can find very place here too. So not only the historical building, not only the artistic topics, but also in real hard industrial, real hard logistic, real also true a concrete production can find a place here, because it's I think the most based area, industrial area in all Italy, Porto Marghera. It was founded in the first years of the centuries, in the 19th centuries, during the just after the First World War, and it's a very big industrial area, and with a lot of place to reinvent, and where you can find also place to put very important compounds and production factories.
That we want to show a video, but before introducing the video, I want to say a couple of words of what you're going to see. So what you're going to see here is some images of the just last finished Venice boat show, which has been held into the Arsenale. Arsenale was really the arsenal of the Republic Serenissima. Republic Serenissima, so this monumental place is 50,000 square meters of water with a lot of industrial. When I'm saying industrial areas, are industrial areas of 600, 700, 800 years ago. The Venice Republic Serenissima was building all the fleet, all the commercial and fleets there, and they were able to build a 45 meters boat every single day. How they did it? This is a miracle. They were working on a lean production. They were building all the components of the boats in a separate production areas, and then they were assembling the final product at the end of the chain, which Leonardo da Vinci visited, for instance, the Arsenale, and it was inspired by that. So what we want to show there is really these 9 days in 1.4 minutes. So please show the video. So thank you. I hope
wow.
I hope you enjoy it.
Fantastic. I loved it. And it's just making me want to go to Venice and check out the boats and ride on the boats. And yes, and I know we've talked about, like, bringing our brand innovators events. Now that we're slightly starting to return to in person, we would love to come to Venice and hope that our community of brand marketers will come with us.
And Arsenale can be a very good location for your meeting. I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
G20 just took place there. So.
Yeah, Mark visited us in 2019. Sorry. He met the mayor, and we promised each other to really do something big in Venice for you and for the marketeers community around the world. So we're really here to help. As you've seen, the boat show, end of May, beginning of June, we had more than 30,000 visitors. Everything has been managed according to all the protocol of security, safety, pandemics. Everything worked fine. We had very good discipline, and we showed the entire world. That was the first in-person event after the opening of the Biennale 1 week before that demonstrated the capacity of this city to organize big, major events according to the protocols in a total safe way.
This is just fantastic. Well, thank you both so much for being here today. It's been a pleasure having you, and we look forward to the next conversation, and hopefully it will be in person.
Thank you, Diana.
Thank you, Diana.
Thank you.
Ciao, bye.
Ciao.